Hi guys, my name's Adele Onyango and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hi y'all, I'm so excited. It's another week. We're edging closer not only to Christmas, which is my favorite time of the year. Yes, I know it's August, but yo, time is flying, but also September 3rd. I'm so excited because I am going to be having the second edition of Perspective, which is my other podcast, and you are invited. Well, if you're in Nairobi, or you can travel to Nairobi. And it's a podcast where men and women come together to talk about gender issues. The last episode, we were talking about femicide, and you can find the episodes on YouTube. Just look for Perspective, P-U-R-S-E, Pective. I'll just make sure I put a link in the caption. Yeah, that would be easier. So we're talking about femicide in the last episode. This episode is going to be so much fun. So much fun. Can you tell I'm excited? We're going to be talking about gender definition and gender rules. Like, where did we start learning the definitions that we have of what being a man is and what being a woman is, and putting that in a Kenyan context or an African context. I think we are going to have a fantastic conversation. Entry is absolutely free. It's 6 p.m. at K1 Clubhouse in Nairobi on the 3rd of September. I really, really hope I see you there. We have 4 amazing panelists. I'm going to be announcing them later on this week on my Instagram. So head over to Adele Onyango on Instagram. I'm just so excited that I'm actually doing this shit. Like, I'm like, wow, this was just an idea in my head and now it's actually a thing. So I really hope to meet you there. In the last episode, actually, there were a few people who came up to me and they were like, yo, we heard about this on Legally Clueless, so we had to come through. So it's so fun meeting the Legally Clueless tribe in Perspective Zone. So it's cool. But anyway, I've had a really good week just prepping for that. So prepping the breakdown of the topic, finalizing the panelists, and whatever technical stuff needs to get done. And yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic. So that's what I've been busy with this week. But also, I wanted to share with you guys, I have downloaded another app. So y'all know I'm addicted to apps, right? But this one, I think I'm onto something really good. And I always share, at least on this podcast, apps that either help with my mindset, so if it's anxiety, or with sleep and stuff like that, just apps that will help you cope better with this thing called adulting. So this new app that I have is called Fabulous, and it's genuinely fabulous. Yes, I've been working on that. I wanted to say that for so long. No, but seriously, it's amazing. And it basically helps you create better habits, day-to-day habits. So they split up your day like morning, afternoon, evening, and then you choose what habits you want to start, and you start almost like a challenge. And it's so freaking weird. A challenge can be 3 days long, but on the 4th day, you just find yourself doing it. So I'm only on morning challenges or morning routines, morning routines. So the first challenge I had was drinking water. I genuinely was never somebody who drank enough water, and that's pretty messed up. Like, water is good, guys. Drink it. And my husband on the other end is like constantly surrounded by water. Like, he's always make sure there's a bottle of water around him, and he's always drinking water. And I just realized, like, I would constantly be getting sick, and I swear I can count on like one hand how many times he's had a flu, and his flu will last like one day and it's gone. But anyway, so I was like, you know what, let's start with this water thing. And so my challenge was for 3 days, the first thing that I do when I wake up is drink water. So I'd always go to bed with water beside my bed. Make sure when I wake up, it's the first thing that I do, I drink it. And smashed that challenge, like did it all 3 days. I was like, yes. And so once you've finished that, you keep the habit. It's not that on the 4th day you stop drinking the water. No, you keep that habit and you add on another one. So the next one I added was to have, let me just read it. Eat a great breakfast, because that was another thing, especially when I was doing a breakfast radio show. I would just not have breakfast and I'd remember that, oh, I haven't eaten at about 10 a.m. or 11 or sometimes 12 noon. Or sometimes later in the day when I'm low in energy, I'm just like, oh, I feel so sluggish. I wonder why. And then I remember, oh, crap, I have not had any meal. So I was like, okay, I want to actually have like a good and healthy breakfast. So I started doing that. And I think that one was a 4-day challenge, if I'm not wrong. So now I had 2 challenges: is drink water, eat a great breakfast. And I added another one, which is exercise. So I've been doing 60 squats in the morning, guys. 60. I'm so proud of myself. Like, I'm celebrating all these wins. 60 squats. I feel more energized. I feel more, woo, let's get this show on the road, like every morning, because of these habits. And I'm going to start like trying out the other ones, like for the afternoons. So you can add different things. So for example, when you open the afternoon, it lets you pick different habits. So it could be breathe, drink water, clean and tidy up, eat more fruits and vegetables, exercise, drink tea, learn and study, walk, meditate, read, power nap. Oof. I'm all about my naps. I love that one. And so there's another one for be grateful, block distractions, call my parents, celebrate, check my weight. So it really just depends like what you want to add into your daily routine. And then the evening routine, the different habits you can do is disconnect and unplug. So I really want to, when I start the evening routine challenges, I want to add that one where you completely disconnect from your devices and reconnect with humanity. Because I find myself on my phone and my husband's on his phone. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's just the two of us. Can we just talk? And then obviously it still has clean and tidy up, floss, exercise. Yeah, so I really actually genuinely love this thing. And then when you crush your habits, they send you like an audio newsletter of this woman with a very strange voice, but hey, congratulating you and just like, oh, I heard that you have drank water every morning. Her voice might be a bit off, but you're just like, yes, I did. And yes, I think it's a really good app, guys. I'm really enjoying it. Again, it's called Fabulous and it's spelled the right way. So not like Fabulous, the rapper. It's spelled the right way. But hey, if there are any apps that you're using to better your day-to-day life or to cope, I'm more than willing. So top of my list is Mindshift, Headspace, and now Fabulous. Last week's episode was a part 1. I shared part 1 of a story that was by Edgar, and he was talking about childhood trauma. And I asked you to, reach out and share your story if you wanted to about, the environment that you grew up in and whether there was trauma that you witnessed or you experienced and whether you felt it directly influenced how you do stuff. I did get quite a few of your WhatsApp audio notes that were very personal, that were super personal to the point I didn't really want to share them, but I did thank everybody individually for sharing. Most of the stories shared were people who were still in the environment where one parent is physically abusive to the other parent. Whew. And it's just, there's a lot of heavy stuff, but I think it's a good step in knowing or being conscious that, okay, I'm in a very messed up environment and it's going to affect me. And so I feel like when you're conscious, at least for me, when I realized I was very conscious about it, it made me more careful in making sure that, the experience or the environment or the trauma doesn't negatively affect me. So I was like hands-on and ready for it whenever it would pop up. So I think being conscious about it is step 1. It's step 1 and it's a great step. And I also got DMs on our Instagram page that were just very heavy. And one thing some of the stories shared brought up that I didn't realize was that there was one story where someone was very aware that their elder sister had experienced the physical, had witnessed the physical abuse their dad used to inflict on their mom for longer than them. And so they were like, very aware that she'll react or it will affect, I'm very aware that it'll affect her either more or in a very different way from me. So that was a different arc where I was like, okay, yeah, sometimes, you think about childhood trauma in a very linear way, and rightly so, but sometimes you then forget about your siblings, and if they're older than you, they experience this for longer. So what does that look like for them on their end? I don't know. So these conversations just sometimes make me even more petrified, and I've said this before in different episodes of Legally Clueless. They just really keep me so petrified of having a kid, because as much as definitely you'll do your best, but there's also that awareness that anything toxic in the environment you create for your child will definitely affect them regardless of their age or what else you provide for them, right? So it's like, oh my God, like that's a huge responsibility to be a parent. There's years of trauma being passed down, you know what I mean? Like, so even when you talk about childhood trauma, it's not saying that our parents were horrible or they're terrible people, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not saying that. It's also recognizing that their trauma is being passed down generations. So when does it stop, right? And when are we aware that, shit, I can't carry this on, I need to be more aware? Yeah, so that really petrifies me, guys. It really petrifies me. So I have part 2, and this is the final part of Edgar's story. And I just love that in all of the trauma, he found his voice.
100 African stories.
There is no proper life that you live in university as a musician.
If I constantly just walked around feeling sorry for myself, I'm never going to get anything done.
There was a bit of frustration in between all of that.
I've been breaking my back for this company.
Therapy is not for the weak or for the crazy.
Stories from Africa.
I just got to a point where it was too much. So I called my mom. I told her, man, I need to talk to you. So we spoke, and I told her that I need to see a counselor. I don't know where to start looking for someone. I don't know where they are in this country, in this town. Find me someone. So she gave me 3 numbers. I called them. We settled on one. And the reason why I wanted a counselor and not talk to my folks was because I wanted someone who didn't know me. I wanted someone who'd listen to me without trying to label my feelings. Someone who would make my feelings about me. A lot of people I find do that. Someone is trying to express their pain, and when they're doing that, you make their pain about you and not about them. So I met this counselor, we started talking, and I said, she asked me to give her history. I gave her history of, from that when I was 10 years old, and then from when I was 13, I started having, these weird feelings that I was going through, but I didn't know what they were. We went through that first session, then she gave me an assessment to do, a written one. I took it home, and I just started a new job actually in February. So I started seeing her in March. So she told me to just find 30 minutes quiet time and just do that assessment without stopping. Like I had no interruptions, no phones, nothing. You start, you finish. So if I have to use the bathroom, go and use the bathroom before that test. Like you can't leave in the middle of this test, because even that slight interruption, either from your phone or having to like take a break, to maybe walk and handle something, let's say in the office or at home, and then come back and do the test. It messes with the answers that you'll give. The answers will be skewed. So I found time. I did the assessment. I finished. I gave it back to her. She's like, yeah. In the third session, she'll give me the results. So we went through the second one. Fast forward to the third. I get there, and then she's like, okay, now I have your results. Let's go through them. I can tell you what exactly is going on. And she's like, 1, the things you've been going through are very normal in someone who's gone through, the things you have. So don't feel like you're crazy. Don't feel like you're abnormal. Don't feel like, you're the only one going through this stuff. I've met very many people. I've counseled very many people. They've gone through sort of what you're going through, some worse, some not so bad. But just to give you some sort of consolation, you're not the only one. So I was like, okay. So she starts mentioning big terms like depression, anxiety, panic disorder. And I'm like, what's this stuff? I used to hear this stuff in the movies. This is me? This is me who's going through this? What? Okay. But she told me, no, don't worry, we can sort this out. So what we'll do is we will get the sessions that we're going to have were basically me to first express the things that I had gone through. I needed to let that out. And as I was letting that out, what she also did was link those situations to the feelings that the things that I was going through. So be it a feeling, which was either emotional or physical, So if I was having things like my heart beating way too fast, it was linked to something. If I was feeling like there's a lot of tension in my throat, it was linked to something. Me not sleeping, but instead staying up and overthinking, it was linked to something that got me feeling, okay. So yeah, I'm not crazy. I'm actually quite normal. And there's a reason why I'm going through these things. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I started learning more about myself, which gave me some sort of, confidence. First there's the understanding of like, okay, the reason why I do this is because of this. Like, even if other people handle things like that, the reason why I'm not like them is because of these things that I've gone through. But now it's learning how to do things like them, actually the right things, not the wrong things, just the right things in life. I was like, okay, I think I can do this. So she started equipping me with a couple of tools, how to do that. I started fixing a routine. That went really well. So I saw her between March 2015 to August 2015, and I learned so much from her. That year was, I think, my best time in the gym. I grew really strong. I grew bigger. I was more confident. And then you have people come and tell you, dude, man, you look good. And I'm like, thanks. I love it, man. Keep gassing me up. I want this, man. Yeah. But it gave me more motivation to do what I was doing, to keep, sticking to this path. So I didn't grow a big ego, and started becoming too vain and stuff. No, I just used to take the compliments and I used to, turn them into, my own motivation to be more confident in myself and the things that I was doing. But sadly enough, towards the end of 2015, I can't really recall what happened, but I was faced with a trigger that hit me back into depression. And now I was trying to find, how do I maneuver this? So we start 2016, and I was out of a job at the time because my contract wasn't renewed. So here I am trying to figure out what's the next move in life. I'm going through my depression. No one's really asking me what's going on in my household. My parents are there. My sister is there, but no one is asking, how are you really doing? Not the generic, how are you? I'm fine. Good morning. No, it's, how are you really doing? I have noticed that you have been in your room longer than you usually are. Like, there's this change of, habit that you've now become accustomed to what's going on. But the way it was being communicated to me is like, you're always in your room, you're always just sitting there, you're doing nothing, you're not even out there looking for a job, you're just there, just watching TV the whole day, you're always on your laptop, you're not doing anything, you're not helping around the house, and we have no house help. So I just didn't want to do anything, but no one was seeing through those habits that had now become my norm, as an indication that there's something wrong. So, and the people I'd talked to outside the house, it was probably not their fault, but Edgar, you'll be fine. Everyone goes through all these things. This is life. We pray for you. Pray to God. Don't forget God. God doesn't give you something that you can't handle. And I just grew sick and tired of those type of responses. So that got me to stay in my cave and now become voiceless again. But it got to a point things were not too good. I then went to my late friend's mom and I talked to her. Through her daughter's death, we became very close. So we talk openly, and now she became like a mother figure. She came asking me questions. What's going on with you? Why are you feeling the way you're feeling? We need to find a way to get you out of this funk, And I just kept telling her that I feel like I need more. What I've been doing so far, yes, it's worked, but only to a certain point. But I need more, and I don't know how to get this more. And I'm not being given options, so I don't know what to do. Find a way to get me more. And she told me, nah, man, I think I know someone who you can see, because the physical manifestations of my anxiety had become too much to bear. Then there's the depression as well, so which are now also coming out with my panic attacks. And now my panic attacks, because of, again, always internalizing the stuff that I go through, I would panic internally. So you'd on the outside, you'd never know if I'm going through a panic. I'm exploding on the inside, but on the outside I have this, poker face. Everything is good, or you just be like, he's probably not in a good mood. But I'm literally losing my mind at that time. But anyway, she booked an appointment with a psychiatrist, and she told me that the only condition that I have that you need to oblige to before that appointment is you need to write down in your journal everything that you want to talk to that lady about. Don't hide anything. Just say it as it is. Doesn't matter if you think it's silly, petty, small. Don't quantify anything. You just write it down. Yeah. So I said, fine, cool, man. I'll do it. So I wrote a lot of stuff down. The day of the appointment came. I showed up, I think, like 30 minutes before time. Yeah. My friend's mom was even late. But eventually she came. We walked up to the clinic. I waited for my turn. It was my turn. She introduced me to the doctor and told the doctor, this is like my son. Find a way to sort him out. Cool, no problem. We sat down with the lady and she again asked me, what has brought you here? Yeah. And I'm like, man, it's a lot. She's like, no, talk. Say what it is you have to say. So I started talking and but she'd interject here and there, asking questions. By the time I was done, and I looked at my watch, I'd been talking for 3 hours. Mind you, there are other clients who are waiting to go in. So these guys I can only imagine what they're going through. Because even me, if I was on the outside, and I'm thinking that, each client probably like 15 minutes at most, and then next. Yeah. Man, 3 hours later, we're done. And then she hits me with this. Edgar, what you've been going through is PTSD. So again, this is an even bigger term. And I'm like, what? Your anxiety, your depression, your panic attacks are just manifestations of the umbrella problem, which is PTSD. And I'm like, what? But, then she's like, yeah, before you say it, Edgar, you don't have to have been to war. You don't have to have been sexually abused. Yeah. You were emotionally abused. You went through trauma emotionally. And that is what is presenting itself through your depression, through your anxiety, through your panic attacks. And now the even bigger problem is that you have been in an environment where you can't speak up about the things you go through. Because again, they're either dismissed or they're invalidated or they're compared to someone else's struggles. Now, I can only imagine what you're going through. And the psychiatrist shed a few tears because she's like, how have you survived this long without substance abuse and addiction? Because I never went through a phase where I was addicted to booze or drugs. I don't do drugs. I think smoked 1 or 2 puffs of weed. That's it. But even with booze that I take, I was never it was never a thing where I'd take Monday to Monday. Yeah. It was the socializing one. Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday. That's it. So I'm looking at her and I'm like, okay, PTSD. Wow, here we are. What do we do? I just want something figured out because I can't live like this anymore. I'm tired. It's exhausting. Physically, it's too much. I'd lost weight. I'd lost a lot of weight. So remember I told you, man, I grew big. I was buff. Guys are giving me compliments. Now it was switched. So you make on that squeezy. Hey, you've lost weight. Gosh, kwani what's going on? Kwani uko na mashida? Kwani are you sick? Man, you don't realize how insensitive those type of comments are. And, I was going through stuff, I was in a way sick. But now how do I tell this person? Yeah. They've already started making fun of me and I'm like, no, Edgar, you have to act like everything's good. No. Manze, I've just been stressed, kidogo, small things here and there, man. But, it's life. Everything, these things happen. I'm done saying these things to these people. Hey, it's life, man. I'll be good. Don't worry. Yeah, man. She tells me, yeah, you've gone through all this shit, but don't worry, you'll be fine. We'll find a way to sort you out. You just trust in me, trust in the treatment process that I'm going to put you on. We'll get you out of this. So I said, okay, fine. I put all my trust in you. So she told me she had to put me on medication. Obviously, there's speculation about medication when it comes to mental health. And the biggest one being you'll get addicted, you'll get hooked and it'll fuck up your life. So I shared the same concerns with her. And she's like, I just told her that if you're going to put me on medication, make sure it's not medication that will get me sluggish, especially because I'm a very active person. And then now on the flip side, because I'm active, I don't want medication that will get me over hyper. I want to, my level of hyperness was good enough. I don't want anything beyond that, because now it will probably point towards the fact that, like, am I boozed or am I tipsy? Where now, when you're tipsy, you have this extra energy, and I'm like, I don't have to go through that, because that will come with a crash of its own. So I just told her, you figure it out. You're the one who knows. You're the scientist in this mental health world. So figure it out. So no, she told me, no, don't worry about that. So she put me on medication. The medication was pretty decent. There were 3 tablets. One was an antidepressant, which was meant to raise the serotonin levels in my brain. The happy chemical. Get it regulated, because my body was just not capable of producing enough of that. Then 2, the other medication was to help with my panic attacks, and how it does that was by cutting the adrenaline in my system. The adrenaline was too much. I know adrenaline is actually a very bad chemical. I got to figure out then. I just thought, man, with adrenaline, let's say you're running and you have adrenaline, like, it's good, it gets you to propel and run faster. Nah, man, it's good in short boosts, but after that, like, it needs to be like back to where it needs to be, in a normal human being. But for me, it was too much. In the system, it was, in very, very high amounts, and that needed to be cut and brought down to normal. Which now would get me to not be as anxious and panicky about certain life situations. And then now it was combined with me having to go through therapy, and she referred me to a therapist that she works with. And I just told her that, okay, I'll see her, but I hope that we embark on a journey where she'll give me practical things to do, so stuff that I can. They may not be tangible in the physical sense, but I can monetize that even emotionally and mentally, and be like, oh yeah, she told me try and do this so that you counter that. So that then I'm like, because I'm very, in my way of doing things, I'm very practical, so if you give me a sort of routine, I'll make it into a habit, and then I'm like, okay, this height's meant to be done, move from here to here, and then, left to right, north to south, east to west. But I was only meant to start seeing, I think, after like 2 months. But I was too eager. So after 1.5 months, I called the psychiatrist, and I'm like, no, I need to start now. So I got the number, I booked an appointment, and this lady has been amazing. She's the same lady I see until today. I've learned a lot through her about myself, about my, I've learned about being assertive, being confident, how to communicate certain things without necessarily being disrespectful, without being insulting, without being belittling. I've learned to work on myself, how to handle myself in certain situations. So if I'm faced with a trigger, and it's one of those situations that I impromptu, I kind of know now how to deal with it. So it's just been an amazing journey. I feel like my voice is back. In relationships, I've been able to articulate the things that frustrate the hell out of me, be it intimate relationships, be it with friends. With my family, it's a bit of a touch and go. Still a work in progress, because there it's very delicate. It's been my biggest trigger. The dynamic in our family has been my biggest trigger. So be it like my dad or my mom, they are the 2 biggest triggers that I have to face every day, because I still live at home. In terms of how they communicate with me, man, it's every time I kept trying to tell them that, let's try and fix the problem around the house, with our family and what's going on, because in turn, if you fix that, we'll be able to live in peace and harmony. But it wasn't getting to them. My mom is still focused on complaining about what my dad has done wrong. My dad is those guys he doesn't know how to express himself when he's going through some stuff. So he's more of a reactor. So he'll do certain things and you're like, okay, guy, he must be going through something. We're the ones who end up being collateral damage for what he's going through. So there's been times where I've tried to talk to him and tell him that, no, let's try and do this, let's do that. Of course, being the traditional man he is, he'll listen to what you're saying, yes, but getting him to change something he's done for, way longer than I have been alive is so difficult, But there's been small changes that I've noticed. Our relationship is a lot better. He doesn't come off as angry, especially when he talks to me. He's not as angry as he used to be. When he's trying to tell me something, he'll say it When he's trying to explain something, he'll explain it. It's also giving me the opportunity to, be able to now use my voice and also say the stuff that I want done in, whatever way. Even if we may not agree on it, it's fine. But if we agree on it, it's also good, So getting my voice again has been a journey of sorts, and it's come with so much. It's been a very interesting journey because now what I've decided to do is use my voice to help other people. I started sharing my story, social media platforms, and that of course had a lot of mixed reactions because a lot of people who, yes, they sensed that there was something that was going on, they didn't know what. The other people who are just like, Edgar, wow, I would never thought that this guy was going through, all this. He's always that guy who's just coming off as happy and smiley and energetic and, but I was going through, a lot of stuff. So it, of course, I opened Pandora's box in a very good way where people started asking me a lot of questions. A lot of child trauma stories are things that I've come into contact with, and now just guys trying to maneuver. And I think also in one of your podcasts you had mentioned how, when you get to learn so much about yourself and then you want to impact that knowledge on everyone. I think you need therapy. You, Kwanza, you. Oh my God, you. And then now you have guys that are like, hey, you are know it all, eh? You seem to know all these things that I need, eh? Okay. Okay. So it gets guys like backing away from you and being distant. So I had to learn how to suggest some things, or when to suggest also, you can't just suggest at any given point in time because you've noticed something. Sometimes you wait for the person to notice these things about themselves, then they come to you and then you're like, funny you say this. So now let me tell you what I know, So I feel I've helped a couple of people here and there. I'm still a work in progress. And I think just as your tattoo says, I'm still evolving, trying to keep, especially with my family. I'd say with my friends, I'm very good at it. I'm a lot better than I used to be. Like, I'm able to face conflict these days. Sometimes I even welcome it. I welcome criticism. As my therapist says, you can't control how the other person will say some stuff or do some stuff, but you can control how you, take it. And how you choose to communicate that, how you choose to react to what they've done or said. So I have that at the forefront of my mind. Of course, there are days where you're not at your 100, so you'll fall back a bit, but it's fine. It's part of life. You can't always be perfect. But with my family, I'm still learning to tell my dad certain things and have him see it for what it is. So even like with my mom, we've gotten to this point where my sister and I have kind of told her that, okay, if you're not going to change the situation in terms of either you want to leave him or, sit him down and talk to him family and tell him that, what he's been doing is wrong and sticking to that, let's not talk about it. It's kind of harsh, I guess, but I also have to come to a point where I have to protect myself because I am 31. I have the next chapter of my life, to that's ahead of me, and I have to live it. By living this part of my life, I don't want to live this part of my life while I'm being pulled back, because that will definitely affect, if I'm in a relationship or a marriage, that will affect that. Definitely. The learning process is never ending. So I think one thing I need to keep doing is just be very, as I'm being intentional, I be very patient with myself and very kind. I tend to be very harsh with myself, especially after learning so much, about, how I communicate and the things that I can take and can't take. You can't perfect it all in a day or two. So the last thing that I know I have done recently is put booze to the side, which has helped because I was finding that the interaction booze was having with my medication wasn't good. It was heightening my anxiety. It would heighten the thoughts that would lead me back to depression. So now like a relapse kind of thing. So I just got out of a relapse actually, which I guess is expected because now like for me, the environment hasn't necessarily changed overall. So, you're working on one part, but the other part is not working in tandem with your bit. So at some point the bubble has to burst, you know. So that's what happened. The bubble burst. And until the time I feel I'm going to be drinking for the social aspect of the drinking, I think I'd rather put it to the side. Yeah. And it's been dope, man. I think I'd drink on Friday, Saturday only, but my Sunday, Monday, and a bit of Tuesday is really a mess. Yeah. I'm beating myself emotionally. I am mentally. It's a self beat down as well. Yeah. And then I start having flashbacks of all the things that have gone wrong in my life. By the time I'm feeling better, it's Friday again, and then I've been called for a plan, and I've gone for the plan. And imagine even doing that plan. I'm good. Like, I have fun, no drama at all. I've had fun. I go home and I'm like, man, I've had such a good night. But the manner in which I was drinking wasn't... There's sometimes, yes, it might have been a bit out of character, even if nothing bad happened, but it may be a little bit too much than I usually do. And I was only doing that too much because I was trying to subconsciously numb some pain. I was subconsciously numbing pain that I was going through. But now when I'm not drinking, man, Saturday morning I'm up by 6. I go through a whole day with so much energy. There's this thing I'm doing again now, whereas I'm using my voice. So if you follow me on IG, I sing a lot in my car. Oh my God, a lot. And someone give me an idea of printing out a t-shirt. I'm going to be the karaoke guy. So I'm going to do that. Yeah, man. So I sing a lot, again, using my voice. So there's little ways that I'm using my voice. And I get this positive responses of, oh my God, Edgar, you make my days. The way you just sing in your car, you look like you have so much fun. Someone asking me like, how do you have so much energy to do this early in the morning? Because you find me like, let's say at 7 in the morning, I'm probably in the road somewhere and I'm singing and just shouting in the car and I'm solo. So guys are like, yo, how are you doing this? A year ago, I was never able to face the front camera my way and I have my face there, and even if I was not saying anything, just record myself, just, I don't know, bumping to music, just nodding my head. I was never able to do such. So for me, that's a big step in the right direction, where now I'm even like, oh my God, I've not recorded today. Damn! So I get my phone, get this song. I'm like, man, I have to sing the chorus of this song. So I'd restart the song. Okay, good. We get into that part. Start recording. And I just start singing. I sing. From being voiceless to now being someone who's using their voice in different ways to do good, and especially use my story to help people who have been where I have been, or even in worse situations where they've wanted someone to just hear them out, but they've been forced to be mum because no one is willing to listen, or for those who are listening, they're either judging, invalidating, or dismissing.
Catch our next African stories in the next episode.
That's the first story that I felt was too heavy to run in completion, like as one. But I believe it's a story that there's so much to, yes, learn from, but also it triggers you and I to be a bit more conscious about what traumas we're carrying subconsciously based on our upbringing and our childhood, and whether we are ready to just say, no, it stops today, or we would just prefer to blank it out. I don't know. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this 2-part story, and you can share that with me on our Insta page, which is at Legally Clueless Podcast. And that's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.